Thank you for joining, and we will start as usual with a short mindful breathing meditations by watching the breath mindfully. Then we can try to generate good intention by thinking, may us coming here together with a good motivations and giving our precious time to listen, to reflect, contemplate, and engage in discussions. May it become cause and conditions to inspire us, to encourage us, to remind us the importance of the practice of purifications in our spiritual path. So that we can clear all the obstacles that might arise otherwise as an obstacle in our spiritual path, in our meditation practice. Having done the purifications and cleared the obstacles, may it be cause and condition to actualize all the lumbering realizations, whole lumbering path within our mind stream. And having actualized the whole lumbering path within our mind stream, may it become cause and conditions to obtain the Buddhahood, a fully awakened state. So we can be not only benefit, but the greatest benefit and help not only to sentient beings, but each and every sentient beings, day and night, every moment. Okay. To the founder, the endowed, transcended, destroyer, the one gone beyond, the four destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, Lord of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teachers of God and human beings, to you, the complete and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcended, destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subdued from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offering, and go for refuge. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all three, your devout homage. to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms in all aspects, with the supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform holy, perfect, virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of Buddha. A star, a visual aberrations, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see condition things as such. Through this method, may all sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the four, and be delivered from samsaric oceans, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. I frustrated the Alati with Jem, thus did I hear one time the Bhagavan was dwelling on the mass of Volta Mountain in Rasgeha, together with great community of monks and great community of Bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was observing the concentration of the category of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara, look upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, beheld those five aggregate also as empty of inherent nature. Then through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this, the Bodhisattva Master of all of them. How should any son of the lineage train who wish to practice the activities of profound perfection of wisdom? He said that in the Bodhisattva Master Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wish to practice the activity of profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this correctly and repeatedly beholding those five aggregate also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness, form, emptiness, not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena emptiness without connectivity, unproduced, unsustainedness, not without stand, no division, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind. No visual form, no sound, no order, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element and so on, up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance and no extinction with ignorance and so on, up to and including no aging and death and no extinction with aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and death. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, Bodhisattva rely on the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond ego, they reach the endpoint of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in 3 times also manifestly completely awaken to unsurprisable, perfect, complete enlightenment and relaxed perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that totally faces all the suffering should be known as truth, since it's not false. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is declared that Gadagat, Paragada, Parasangada, Bodhisattva. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Master, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from the concentration and commanded the Bodhisattva Master Arya Avalokiteshvara said, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that. It is like that one should practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as we have indicated. Even the Tathagata rejoiced, the Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Master Arya Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding the entirety, along with the whole of God, humans, Asura, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Sashipeki Chonshimeto Tamadera Nyende Jembandi Sangye Shindu Mi I go for refuge until I am enlightened for the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Sent by the matters I create to listen to the Dharma. May I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient. Sangye Shodang Soge Sonam Chanchu Padu Dane Kyato Che Nagi Shushe Sonam Dola Penje Sangye Doga Sangye Shodang Soge Sonam Chanchu Padu Nagi Shushe Sonam Dola Penje Sangye Doga. So today is the last sessions for this particular teachings or on purification based on 35 Buddha practice. So in terms of that, purifications, we spoke about the importance of purifications, and we spoke about, in order the purification to work effective and powerful, the importance of four open-end powers, and that we need to bring all the four open-end power into the practice. And so, and there are many purification practices, and one of the very powerful purification is by using this 35 Buddha practice as a form, and doing prostrations by reciting 35 Buddhas and medicine Buddha's name, and then doing the prostrations. And so that is what we have been discussing. And within this, this 35 Buddha practice contained all the four open-end power. So at the very beginning, it starts with the refuge, and there's no refuge in Bodhisattva. That's the open-end power of the object of reliance. And then, then it starts with the name of the Buddhas. So, again, by remembering by reciting each of those names, how many different negative karma and different period of negative karma being purified. Even though we don't remember each one detail by detail, but at least by that little understanding, and try to have that faith, and then you do the prostration while you recite that. So that is the open-end power of the antidotes. And at the end after you recite all of the 35 Buddha and 8 medicine Buddha, if you add 8 medicine or 7 medicine Buddha, then after that, then we try to recollect all the different negative karma that we might have created, that we can recollect or remember in this life, and also all the negative karma that we have created in the past, even though we don't remember. But for sure, we have created all different kind of negative karma. As we mentioned before, such as sometimes through our body, speech, and mind, either motivated by attachment, anger, or ignorance, or by all of them. We have created negative karma in relation to holy object. We have created negative karma in relation to sentient beings. We have created negative karma, by engaging in uninterrupted negative karmas, by breaking the, Prathamasha vows, Bodhisattva vows, Tantric vows, and so forth. And so, even though we don't remember, but some of them we can remember, recollect. Some of them we cannot remember, collect. So we try to recollect as much as we can, and then, if possible, try to meditate a little bit on how each of those negative karma create obstacles, hindrance for our spiritual growth, and create obstacle in our life as well. And due to how those negative karma will also hurt and harm others. By that understanding, then we try to generate strong regret for all those negative karma. Strong negative regret, strong negative regret, trying to regret as strong regret as possible. And so that opens our regret. And once we regret, then we try to generate a strong resolutions or resolve that we will not engage in such negative karma again in the future. So trying to generate strong resolve, and that is the opening power of the resolve. So up to that, it completes within this practice. There is the whole complete practice that contain all the four opening power. Especially when after you finish prostration, when you come to this part, the regret and resolution, you try to take a little time to contemplate, so that the strong regret and resolution can be cultivated strongly. So I think that is where we are up to there. I think that is where so we are in a section where there is the dedications, in the practice, where you become all the Buddha, Bhagavan, please pay attention to me in this life and all others state of rebirth in which I've circled in samsara throughout beginning lifetime, whatever root of virtue I've created by generosity and so on, so that's where we are now, where the dedication is. So every practice we do, is as it is advised by the Katamba masters and all teachings, at the very beginning, we need to have the right bodhisattva motivation. At the end, we try to have the most end the practice with the more powerful dedications. And so here also dedications. In terms of dedication, then normally, there are three powerful way of dedications that is described in the many of the teachings, commentary, scriptures. One is dedicating to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So if we can achieve enlightenment, then we can be benefit to all sentient beings. We can bring a happiness, become a cause of happiness to all sentient beings. That is one of the supreme dedications. Another supreme dedication is the dedicating to Dharma to spread and remain until the samsara ends, because Dharma is the root of all the happiness of all sentient beings. Because when individual sentient beings develop the Dharma within their mind, the wisdom within their mind, then that is when they begin to find real happiness, real joy. That is when they can overcome all their delusions, all their obscurations. By having overcome all the delusion and obscuration, that is where they can really start to find, lasting true happiness, ultimate happiness. And therefore, dedicating for the teachings to remain, spread and remain until the samsara is another supreme dedication. And other dedications, another supreme dedication is dedicating for the long life of the gurus. And again, because in order for sentient beings to have happiness, then they need to actualize Dharma within themselves. And in order for the Dharma to be shared, and in order for other sentient beings to learn and practice the Dharma, then they learn from their teacher, their gurus. That is the only way they can learn and practice. And so therefore, dedicating for the long life of the gurus is also supreme dedications, because it is also dedicating for the well-being and happiness of all sentient beings indirectly. So those are, you see in many commentaries, those three kind of supreme dedications. And among those different dedications, Supreme here, the dedications is dedicating to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. In this particular practice of the Third Buddhas, the dedication is to dedicate to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay, and so they are slightly different between dedication and prayers. You know, the prayers, anyone can make any kind of prayers. You don't need anything. You just pray for anything. You can pray for anyone for any purpose. But for the dedication, you need to have something to dedicate. You know, so you need to have created some virtue or something. You need a substance or some object to dedicate. Whereas for prayer, you don't need that. You just pray, you know, and so that is slightly different, you know. Dedication, when you dedicate, first we create something, some virtues, you know, of merit, and then we dedicate that for whatever purpose we dedicate. You know, so that is slightly different between the dedication and prayers. So then here, you know, as a very beginning, when we do the confession and purification, we request all the Buddhas of 3 times 10 direction to be the kind of the object witness for our purification, our confessions. Again, and so we thank them for being that, and again we request them to be again, you know, the witness or the objects when we do the dedication. So that is why all Buddhas, Bhagwan, please pay attention to me. Okay, so that is kind of again requesting. I'm very grateful that you help me when I'm purification. Now please also pay attention and be here to help me in this dedication when I'm dedicating. So then, you know, what we are dedicating is, you know, all the virtues we have created through the practice of such as 6 perfections and all other virtues that we might have created in this life and in our past life, and which we might be creating in future lives, you know. So that is where in this life and in all other state of rebirth, you know, that all the virtues we have created in the past, and also that we will be creating in the futures, in all the rebirth in the futures, all those the virtues that we have created on 3 times, you know, in which I have circled in samsara throughout beginning life, from the very beginning until now in samsara, whatever virtue we have created, you know, such as whatever root of virtues that we have created and that I've created, such as by generosity, you know, through the practice of generosity. Even as little as giving just a mouthful of food to a being born in animal lands, you know, so such as in terms of small, you know, in terms of ordinary beings such as animal, and even the practice of generosity, very small, one mouthful such as, or big generosity such as, you know, feeding 100,000s of animals, human beings, you know, not only just one mouthful, maybe feeding them every day for days, weeks, months, or having make offerings to all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, or the Sanghas, you know, whatever offering we have made. So all of those practice as part of generosity, you know, small to big generosity, or such as sharing the generosity of Dharma knowledge, you know, sharing the Dharma knowledge, the wisdom, you know. So whatever generosity, small or big, we have created due to all of that. So that is generosity. Then, you know, whatever root of virtues I've created by guarding morality. And so that is the practice of moral discipline, such as whatever virtues we have created by avoiding 10 non-virtuous actions, by living in moral discipline, or by avoiding such as 10 non-virtuous actions. You know, so any virtues we have created due to that. So that is moral discipline. Whatever root of virtues I have created by following the pure conduct, So here, the pure conduct is, through the practice of three of the four, four immeasurable, such as, loving kindness, immeasurable loving kindness, immeasurable love, immeasurable joy, and immeasurable equanimity. Through the practice of those, then living that, through the practice we are trying to live in a pure conduct, and therefore when someone criticizes you, not criticizing back, when someone hit you, not hitting them back, when someone's harsh on you, not being harsh back to them, when someone try to take your life, not trying to take their life. So through that kind of contact, so that is when you do that through the practice of four immeasurable, then you practice the patience. When you're loving kindness, compassion, and not retaliating them when they try to hurt you, that is the practice of patience. So such as this, so therefore the practice of patience, such as the root of the practice, such as whatever root of virtue I've created by following pure contact. So here is the practice of patience, and then next one, whatever root of virtues I have created by fully ripening sentient beings, and that is through the practice of perfections of joyous effort in virtues, through the practice of joyous effort in the virtues, then we try to help other sentient beings to ripen their mind, those who have not been ripened. We try to help them to be liberated, those sentient beings whose mind has been ripened. And through our enthusiasm in our practice, in our virtues, through our joyful effort in our virtues, we try to help other sentient to ripen their mind. And those who have already ripened, we try to help them to be liberated. And so therefore, this is the practice here, that in practice of joyous effort in virtues. That is through the practice of joyous effort, we try to help to fully ripen the sentient beings, And then whatever root of virtues I've created by generating bodhicitta, And so this one, the practice of, meditative concentrations, the samatha. So again, you try to generate the bodhicitta mind, and then you try to keep single-pointed concentrations on the bodhicitta mind. So like if we study the Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life, the chapter 8 is meditations. But the main subject of the chapter 8 is the bodhicitta, So the object of that concentrations is the bodhicitta. So it is similar here too, So therefore, the bodhicitta itself, as well as the material concentrations, that place your mind to the bodhicitta, So that is the practice of the perfection of material concentration. And whatever root of virtues I have created by my unsurprised transcendental wisdom. And so that one's, whatever virtues that we might have created, through the wisdom, wisdom, realizing emptiness, Unsurprised transcendental wisdom is, Dharmakaya wisdom, And so, but whatever wisdom, whatever virtues we have created through the wisdom realizing emptiness, And then not only that, all other virtues that we might have created, such as, the root of the virtues that we have created, such as through the prayer, method, power, and wisdom, and through prostrations, making offerings, meditating, whatever form of virtues we have created through body, speech, and mind, and all of them, So all these assemblies and gather and combine together. So there is three here, there's one assemble and gather and combine together. And according to some of the commentaries, the first assembly means all the virtues oneself created. And then gather, it means all the virtues other has gathered or other has created. And then when he says combine together, then that means all the virtues oneself and others are created. Are you clear there? Yeah? So there's three words: assembly, gather, combine together. Okay? So first assemblies means all the virtues oneself are created. And this gather means all the virtues others have created, and combining all the virtues that oneself and others have created. So in essence, in short, whatever virtues that others and oneself have created in the past, present, and futures, Due to all of that, I fully dedicate to the unsurprised, unexalted, the higher than the higher, and the supreme to the supreme. So that means I dedicate all of these virtues to achieve fully enlightened state, to achieve the four kayas, or the four Buddhas, So it mentions, when he said, I dedicate to the unexcelled, there's nothing more excellent than that, So that one explain the Rupakaya, or the form body of the Buddha. Higher than the higher, not that one. Unsurpassed. The first one, unsurpassed, is the Rupakaya, to achieve Rupakaya of the form body. Okay? And then when it says unexalted, then it explains the Dhammakaya body, the Dhammakaya. And then when it said that higher than the higher, then it explains, Sambhava Kaya, And then when it says superior to the superior, and then it explains Nirvana Kaya. So in short, then it is dedicating to achieve the Buddhahood, which has four kayas or three kayas, And it explains why Sambhava Kaya is called higher than the higher. The high is the 10 bhumi, and the Buddhas is even higher than the 10 bhumi Bodhisattvas, therefore higher than higher. And superior to the superior, why is superior to the superior is such as the Arhat and those Bodhisattvas who are on the, three last bhumis, the pure bhumis, they are the superior, but the Buddha, Nirvana Kaya, even superior to them, and therefore it's superior. Thus, I completely dedicate to the highest, perfectly complete enlightenment. In short, then one dedicate completely all the virtues to achieve the most perfect, complete enlightenment in order to be greatest help and benefit to each and every sentient beings. So that is, and then next, just as the previous Buddha Bhagwan have fully dedicated, just as the future Buddha Bhagwan will be fully dedicated, and just as the presently abiding Buddha Bhagwan will fully dedicate, like that, I too dedicate fully. So in short, what it is saying is, maybe we might not know how to dedicate very well. So therefore saying, whatever Buddha have dedicated, the best way of the past, present, and future, I also dedicate the same way like that. Easy, isn't it? So then you don't, may my dedication be just same as the dedication, the way the previous Buddha, the present Buddha, future Buddha dedicates, the same way. His Holiness Dalai Lama shared a story about, there, of course, in Tibet, there is the holy temple, Chor Temple. This is the most holy temple in Lhasa, so every Tibetan from all over, they come there at least once in their life, and so there are a lot of people every day, going to sit at in the temple to visit to the main Buddha Shakyamuni, Chor Shakyamuni's temple. And people go and make offerings, butter lamb offerings, scalp offerings, money offerings, or different, all different kind of. And people praise, dedicate. And there was one man, who didn't know how to dedicate very well, And before him, there was one old lady, who know exactly how to dedicate. She was doing a very extensive dedication. Very extensive, very well extended dedication. And the man who didn't know how to dedicate properly, may all my dedication be like the same this old lady is making. So this one remind me of that. So he because he didn't know. He didn't know how to dedicate. This lady has very eloquent of dedicating, and very nice and very detailed dedications. And so he said, may all my prayers, dedication be just as dedication and prayer she made, So similarly, we can do that here, like all the Buddhas of his times. So with that, then it complete the dedications. Okay, and dedicating is very important. There is some kind of auspiciousness in dedications. One time Milarepa says, the meditator who dedicate their whole life to meditation into the hermitage, and the benefactor sponsor who support the meditator, who support that meditator, if they, through the auspiciousness of that two cause and conditions, if you dedicate, then there is an auspicious to achieve enlightenment together. There is the auspiciousness, there is the dependent arising to achieve enlightenment together. So anyway, so dedications. So then, so up to here, in terms of seven limb practice, up to here is the frustrations and making offerings. Making offerings also kind of contain within this, up to this practice. And then briefly, then introducing the next other seven limb practice. So the next is confession. I confess all negativities individually. So in terms of seven limb practice, first is frustration, second is offerings, third is confession. So there is confession. And again, confessions, even though it has done detail earlier, but also here again, as part of the 7 limb practice. And when we talk about confessing and purifying individualists, there are two ways of seeing it. There is 2 ways of seeing it. One is individually means whatever negative karma that we have created for the body, we try to purify and confess through frustrations and by frustrations. So we create the negative karma by body, we purify also through the body, through frustrations. All the negative karma that we have created through the speech, we try to confess and purify by reciting the names of the Buddha and by reciting the mantras. Again, using our virtuous speech to purify them. And to confess and purify all the negative karma that we have created by mind, in order to confess and purify, then we try to meditate with our mind. We try to contemplate and meditate on the path. We try to contemplate and meditate on different virtues, on the path. So that is why it is said individually, confessing negative karma individually, purifying and confessing. And also there is another way of understanding this verse as well. In terms of the vows, there are three different kind of vows. Individual vows, individual liberation or pratimosha vows. There's Bodhisattva vows, there's tantric vows. And when we try to confess and when we try to purify, there are different methods to do that. And we do individually. Such as when it is a pratimosha vows, then you try to engage in the ceremonies such as purifying, restoring ceremonies, especially like monks and nuns, they have, twice a monthly, full moon and new moons, they try to do that. During that is where you try to purify and confess, through that, within the community, through that kind of ceremony, If it is a Bodhisattva's vows, for the broken Bodhisattva vows, then we try to confess and purify also within the Sangha community or with, in front of the holy object. In terms of the holy objects, and then we try to renew the vows by retaking the Bodhisattva vows. Okay? And in terms of the tantric vows, for the broken tantric vows, then again, we try to, confess and purify in front of the Sangha community or in front of the, holy objects, such as 3 jewels or gurus, And then in order to renew the vows, then either we have to take the highest yoga tantra again, or you can do the self-initiation if you have all the requirement to do that. You can't, not everyone can do the self-initiation, but so the only way to renew the tantric vows, either you take highest yoga tantra again, or you have to do the self-initiation. So again, that is, so through that you see how to purify those 3 broken vows individually, because they have different ceremony and different way of purifying them, So that is. Then next one, the fourth of the practice of 7 limb practice is, rejoicing. I rejoice in the merits, So then we rejoice in the virtues or merit of oneself and the virtues and merits of others, In terms of, as it is said in King of the Prayers, then when we rejoice for the virtues of others, then we rejoice the virtues of the Buddhas, we rejoice in the virtues of the Bodhisattvas, we rejoice in the virtues of our Arhat, we rejoice in the virtues of those who are path, and we rejoice in the virtues of the ordinary beings, so 5 beings, So So we rejoice in all of their virtues. You know. And then, you know, after rejoice, the next is, you know, requesting to turn the wheel of Dharma, you know, and that is where I urge, you know, I urge. When you say I urge the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas to request or urge to turn the wheel of the Dharma. Okay. Then I implore all the Buddhas to grant my request. And what you implore, then that is the sixth one. You implore them or request them to live until samsara ends. You know, until the samsara, you request or implore them to stay or remain until the samsara ends. And of course, we just finished the dedication. So with that, then it completes the 7-limb practice. So here again, in this practice, all 7-limb practices are included. It combines all 7-limb practices as well, you know, so that's where. And may I receive the highest and most sublime transcendental wisdom, you know. And so that is the Dhammakaya, you know, Dhammakaya wisdom, you know. The Dhammakaya wisdom, you know. Once we cultivate that Dhammakaya wisdom, then, you know, we can be able to manifest from that Dhammakaya wisdom, then we can be able to manifest in, you know, Rupakaya or form bodies such as Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya. Through manifesting different form, then we can we can help and benefit the sentient beings. You know, the cause of the sentient, the cause of the Buddha to benefit other sentient beings is that, you know, Dhammakaya wisdom, that highest and most sublime transcendental wisdom. And so we dedicate and pray to achieve that transcendental wisdom. And then, you know, again, as a part of 7-limb practice, and so again, and because the importance of refuge is so important, at the very beginning, it starts with refuge. At the end, it starts with refuge again. You know, to the conqueror, the best of the humans. So it's the Buddha is, you know, the superior or the best of the humans. You know, the supreme of the humans, the best of the humans. You know, the excellent of the humans. You know, so the conqueror, the Buddhas, those who are living in present time. You know, so those who have lived in the past and those who will be coming in the future likewise come to all those who have qualities as vast as infinite oceans with hand folded approach for the refuge. You know, so again, for all the Buddhas of 3 times, by recollecting and remembering their incredible, you know, qualities, inner qualities, you know, their incredible compassions, their incredible wisdom, and their incredible power or skillful means. All of that, by recollecting, remembering, again, we go for the refuge. So up to here is, as Nagarjuna says, is the conventional purifications. Up to here is the conventional purifications, and the ultimate purifications. The ultimate purification is then contemplate and meditate on the emptiness of the negative karma itself. You know, the negative karma that we have created and that we are trying to purify. Meditate on it, the emptiness of negative karma itself. Meditate on the emptiness of the negative karma being created, the action of creating, you know, and then the emptiness of the person yourself who is creating that. So basically trying to meditate on emptiness of the person who is creating the negative karma itself, the action of negative karma, the act of creating itself. So that is the ultimate, as Nagarjuna says, that is the ultimate purifications, and that is very powerful purifications. And so again, also here, Lama Zopa Rinpoche also give here kind of advice how to meditate on general confession, little bit there. So I don't think. So with that, I think we kind of conclude the actual 35 Buddha practice itself. And of course, if you want, then there is a general confessions that you can try to do, and there is external. There's more dedication at the end, and so you can do all of those, And again, if you can do all the dedication, it's great. If you cannot do all the dedication, when you don't have so much time, you don't have to feel pressure to do that. Do you get it? What I mean? We have to be flexible, and that is one of the problems that I have noticed. I guess maybe because it is Dharma is new in the West, or maybe sometimes I think the Westerners, they don't have exposed to so many different traditions or different way of doing. They are only exposed to one teacher or one way of doing, and then I think sometimes they don't know how to be flexible, and then they become kind of rigid, and then they feel like they are not doing correct or right, and they feel guilty, and then they think, if I don't do as it is in that prayer, in that practice book, then you feel like you are not doing correctly and all of that. So then you don't do it, because if you do that, maybe it takes you 2 hours, because sometimes Rinpoche kind of add a lot of practice from others, Rinpoche started adding, the actual practice itself, the original practice is quite short. Then Rinpoche started adding one practice until another practice, and those are great when you have time. You can do that. That is, the more extensive you do is better. But when you don't have time, you can kind of you can try to, and so you can do a practice that you can do 2 hours, or you can make it to 1 hour, or you can make it in 20 minutes. So I think that is depending on your time and all of that, So I think those are kind of important for us to be kind of aware, I guess. First, maybe before I don't know. Yeah, maybe there is one question. Maybe I will come later. This is a question for the end of the class. Okay, so I'm coming to that. So now we want to understand how negative karma is being purified. How what does being purified means? When you talk about purifying negative karma, First of all, depending on how strong the negative karma is. If it's a small negative karma, it can be purified completely. It can be completely purified from the root of it. But if negative karma is stronger and like a kind of middle, not very small, but middle, then through purifications, the karmic result can be reduced. Even it has not completely been purified, it can be reduced. If your karma to be, lose your both, let's say you have karma to lose your both legs. Through purification, maybe you will not lose your leg, but you still have some health challenges, some problems. So it has been reduced. It has not completely been purified from the very root, but it has been reduced. So it is also being purified in some way. And when negative karma is very strong, and when our purification is not so strong through purification, at least it can stop from it multiplying. Because sometimes negative karma, again, not sometimes negative karma or positive karma, one of the characters is multiply. Through purification, then we stop them from multiplying. So those are three different ways how it can be purified according to a different how strong the negative karma are, whether it's negative karma strong, middle, or big. And of course, it also depends on our practice, how strong our purification practice is, how strong our purification practice are. If our practice is very strong, then it can purify completely. If our negative karma is not strong, while it's being purified, we can still experience small challenges, small difficulties, but we purify it, of negative karma that otherwise will experience a big problem. But now, as a sign of being purified, we experience small problems. And that is sign of being purified. And in some, through purification, we might be able to postpone the negative karmic result from manifesting, and therefore giving us more time to work with that in the futures. So again, that is also some effect of the practice of purifications. Okay, so so in many of the advice that you see on different practice retreat, the best is, for example, if you are doing purification practice, if you are kind of, dedicating our practice towards this, if you are kind of emphasizing towards this, the best is to practice purification until you see some sign of being purified. That means it could be lifetime, many lifetimes. Until you see the signs of being purified, you try to purify as long as it takes. As long as it takes until you have those signs. Then if you cannot do that, secondly, the kind of the middle is that you do for the durations, like 3 months, 3 years. Or 3 years or 3 months, like that. And the minimum is then the number. The least and minimum is the number. At the moment, for us, the number is the maximum, isn't it? But if you really look at it, it's same. The number to complete 100,000, then 3 years, in the middle, like if you have to do timeline, duration 3 months, 3 years, you will not, because if you really dedicate, you can do that in few months, 100,000. So it is much less. And then if you have to do until you see the sign of purify, that could mean your whole life or many lifetimes until you have the sign of purifications. So number is actually kind of the minimum, the most minimum, So we should be aware of that. Sometimes we feel like we have given the homework to the maximum, you know. Don't you feel like you have been asked too much, 100,000 numbers? It feel like, you know, the maximum, you know. But actually, in all those commentary teaching, that is kind of the number. Using the number is kind of the minimum, most easy one. In according to one of the, you know, Dharani, you know, treating Dharani in one of the, you know, I guess from the tantric teachings of the Buddha, they explain some kind of few different signs of being purified, you know, whether in the visions or in our dreams, you know. Even though sometimes you cannot rely on dreams because the dream is not always reliable, you know. Is an example of the false that Buddha always give, you know, deceptions being not real, but also in sudden dream, in sudden time, and sometimes it has certain meaning and signs. And so in that text, it gives a certain kind of, you know, some signs that those are in your dream. If you have that dream when you are doing purification, when you are doing practice of purification, if you have those kind of dream, it is some sign of being purified somewhat in certain level, you know. So such as the dream of having a vomiting, you know, kind of poison or poisonous food is a sign of being purified to a certain degree, you know. It also says if you dream of drinking or eating milk or yogurt is another sign of being purified. It also, if you see sun and moon in your dream, is another sign of being purified. You know, or flying in the sky, you know, going or flying in the sky is another sign. You know, or if you see the fire burning up, you know, it's another sign of being purified. You know, if you see in your dream kind of overpowering and overcoming some kind of dark or devil, humans, or dark buffalo, then it is supposed to be the sign of purification. Or if you see a community or sangha of monks and nuns, that is also another sign of that, you know. Or if you see a tree, you know, from the where it has the kind of like the milky kind of white comings, so that is another sign. Or if you see a dream elephant in the dream, also is a good sign. Or if you see a, you know, kind of supreme bull or leader of the human, is also a good sign. And if you see mountains in the dream, it is also a good sign of being purified. You know, if you see a throne of the snow line, also is a good sign. Or if you see a climbing, if you see a climbing a beautiful house, it is also a good sign. And if you see, if you have a dream of listening to the teachings, you know, also it is a sign of good. It is a good sign of being purified. So those are some of the, according to that tantric teaching of the Buddha, then it is explained. Those are some of the signs. Those, but if you have those signs, don't be too excited. You know, you might be being full. You know. You know, don't be too excited. Don't be too grasping, clinging to that. You know, jumping, hooray, I purified. You know. And feel like that I don't need to do purification from tomorrow. You know. One of the things is, you know, if you do not create any new negative karma, Then after you do the all purification, you sign it, then you can say you don't have to do that. But we create negative karma still every day. So we have to do purification every day until we stop creating any new negative karma. Even you have purified all the negative karma that you have created in the past, from the beginning lifetime through your purification, even you have purified all of them. If you have done that, why do I need to purify? I've all purified. Well, because we continue to purify, create every day. So we need purification until we stop creating negative karma. The moment that we stop creating new negative karma, and you have purified all the past one, and you stop creating new karma, then you don't have the purifications. Because past all previous negative karma has been purified, and you are not creating any new one. But even if we have purified all of the past one, if we continue to create, we need to continue the purifications. And that is why the teachers advise, to do at least, 21 Bodhisattva practice every day. Even we cannot do, when we have time, we can do more extensive. Good. When you don't have time, you can do short, recite the mantra and do this basic visualizations, and for opening power quick, you can do in, maybe 10 minutes, so. Or if you have difficulty with the 100 syllables, then you do the short one 28 times a day, Om Bodhisattva Hum, is 28 times. So that is the advice the teachers give, that we try to do that every day, When you have more time, when you can concentrate, you do more extensive, better. When you are too busy and when you are too tired, at least you to recite the mantras, and at least you try to do the short practice, or a little bit of that. So it is, so that is. So then I think there is a couple of questions. So with that, I think maybe all I have to say. But then, I can, there's one question, is this is a question for the end of class. If someone is making 100,000 frustration, can the frustration 30 Buddha be counted towards the total? Yes. So traditionally, you try to do like a retreat, possible, when you do purification, such as frustrations, or any of those preliminary practices, traditionally, that's what they do, For some people, it might take 3 months, 5 months. For some people, it might be, so it depends, some people can do more than others, Personally, for myself, I did twice, and one time in prostration, one time it took me 5 months, one time I did in 2 months and 20 days, But you retreat, morning to evening, that is all you do, 3 sessions, 4 sessions a day, each session 2-3 hours, And that is traditionally, that is how, even my parents, when they did, they take off, and for a few months, they just do that, So in that cases, then you do in the same place until you finish, in the same place, same cushions, you finish that. That is and there's a different, result in that. When you do retreat and when you just focus on that practice for certain period, then the practice becomes much more powerful. Then instead of doing little every day for many years, because you really get into that practice. You are doing hours, 4 sessions each day, and each session many, many hours. Your body also get used to it, adjust and used to it. At the very beginning, your body feels kind of more rigid and difficult, and as you do more, your body starts to become more and more flexible, more and more quick. All of that also, your body, your mind, everything kind of come into the, so best will be that, but of course, also we have to be realistic. Not everyone's have that opportunity because people have other responsibilities. Even though I do see people who doesn't have to work, but still, I don't know, they cannot find the time to do the practice. Even though it seems like they have all the time, if they want to use to do retreat 3 months, 2 months, and just focus on one particular preliminary practice and other preliminary, and then Lamrim actual meditation like that. So anyway, but whether you do in one place, in same place until you finish in one that. But the advice, if possible, is you first day when you start the preliminary practice, you try to do very short numbers, maybe 3 frustration first day, because then even until you finish, you have to do same at least that number until you finish it, no matter how busy, no matter where you are, no matter. So if you keep the short number, a 3 number, for example, the first day, even when you are sick or if you are so busy, still you can do the 3, And so that is the advice. Traditionally, that is. And then from the next day, you can do as many as possible. But at least you have to do that minimum number that you did the first day, So that is traditionally, that is how you try to do. And then, then until you finish, you try to do every day at least 3, and then more than that, so you can do 50, 100 each day, or 200, 300. When you are more busy, you do less. When you have more time, when you have free time, you can do 2 sessions, 3 sessions. That is also possible. And then. Yeah, so then while you do the frustration, then that is why you recite this 35 Buddha practice, the name of 35 Buddha, and as I mentioned, you can add the 7 medicine Buddha on top of that, and so you can do that. So that is, and we are doing in one sessions or many frustration by using 35 Buddha. At the first sessions, you do the whole practice from the beginning to the end. Then in the middle, you don't have to do the whole thing. You just do the names, the refuge and the name, And then at the very end, again, you do the whole practice. You end with the whole practice. Or you can do, every 5 or 10 circle of that practice, you can do the whole practice, So but at least you try to do the whole practice at the very beginning and at the end. In the middle, then you can, while you do the prostration, you just recite the names and, recite the 35 Buddha name and medicine Buddha name. And again, you go to the top and then you do the refuge and then the 35 Buddha name and medicine Buddha name. Again, you go to the top and the refuge and 35 Buddha and medicine Buddha and like that. And then you end with the whole practice. So that is how one can do the practice in that way, okay? And as I mentioned before, sometimes there are different way of counting. People count if you are doing a preliminary practice, 100,000. Actually, you have to do 100,000, and in order to, because in 100,000, sometimes our mind can be distracted. Sometimes there might be some. So we do 10,000 extra to cover the 100,000 if there's any mistake, and 1 more 1,000 to cover the 10,000s. 100 to cover the thousands, and 1 to cover the 10. And so in the end, it becomes 111 thousands and 111s. 1116, 6 of 11s. Okay. And that is that, like, in case we have made some mistake, so to kind of to that's the extra we do, Okay, so then here there is questions. If we are trying to purify arrogance in particular, do you have any recommendations? Then I think, when you do visualize, when you are doing purifications, whether you are doing the Bodhisattva or 35 Buddhas, when you do the purification, you can visualize purifying all the negative karma, all the delusion, all the obscuration in general, but especially the arrogant. You can visualize especially the arrogant. You can spend more time cleansing and purifying that particular, whatever emotions that you want to emphasize on, or whatever you are working on. You try to do that. And also while you are doing, especially when you are in a Bodhisattva, while you are reciting the mantras, if you have memorized it, you don't have to pay so much attention to the mantra itself. So actually, you can actually even do a little bit of meditations on the arrogant, how arrogant is so harmful, how arrogant is harming ourselves, how arrogance is harming others, and how the practice of, instead of arrogant, how practice of humility is really beneficial and helpful to ourselves, to others, how it is great for our practice as well as in our relationship. When we practice more humbleness, humility instead of arrogance, and then we try to also meditate why, you can see why I'm arrogant, and maybe because of, we might have the reason why we are, or I'm good at this, or I'm this, or I'm a better person, or I'm more compassionate, or I'm more spiritual, whatever. Then again, we can try to see, how should I be so arrogant about this? Because I'm good at that, because I also have other things I'm not good at that. So how can I feel more superior to others because I'm good at something they are not good at? Because they are good at something I'm not good at. So how can I feel more superior and arrogant on the basis that I'm good at something? Because there are a lot of other things we are not good at. And so when you focus on that, then it helps us to be less arrogant. And it helps us to feel less supreme than others because they are not good at something that we are good at. By knowing and understanding, they are good at other things we are not good at. And so you can do that kind of meditation while you are doing the Vasara mantra and purification. If you are doing a long time, so there is a time to do that practice as well. So you can integrate the meditations while you are doing the purifications. You can do the visualization at the very beginning a little bit, and then you can do that kind of analytical meditations, and then again you do you do the visualization of cleansing and purifying that. So you can combine that. And so then there is one. Why is sometimes the confession prayer you use page 14, and sometimes the general confessions use? I don't know what that caution says. I didn't understand the cautions. Why is sometimes confession prayer used? Page 14. Page 14.
Hi, Geshe. Sorry, the question's from me. Sometimes, at least in FPMT, I've seen that some texts only have the confession prayer that we use, on page 15. And then sometimes both the prayers, the confession on page 15 and on page 19 are used.
And again, I think
does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it is the same as I mentioned, when you do purification, you can use many purification prayer as much as possible. So when you do, sometimes you do 35 Buddha and you do the general prayer, you add that. You can add other practice as well. Or sometimes you just do the 35 Buddha, you don't do the general. So again, it's the same thing that I was telling before, sometimes when you have time or when you want to do, you can add up many others different other practice as well, which are part of the purification. And so, yeah. And then there is,
thank you.
you describe how to keep the track in a journal or calendar. So that was what I was into. So there are different way of counting it, Some people, when they do the prostration, there is something you can put on and you just click each of them, the number comes. Some people use that when you go and each time you click. And some people, they will have the malas when they prostrate there, and then they will just put one like this, each time when they do. Or you can put a stone from one to other side. That's how you can count. And then, that's how different people use different way of counting. Some people have the short mala on their wrist here, hand, and then they will count like this after each of, and so each of them is 21, for example. So he know that. But one of the thing I said before is one way you don't have to do all of that. You just kind of with the refuge. 4 refuge, then there is four of them, 35 Buddhas, then there's 35 Buddhas, frustrations, for each frustration to each, so it's 39, and then you have 7 medicine Buddhas, then 45. So each round you are able to do 45. So you know how many rounds you went, and that way you can know, that's how you can count. And then you keep that in each sessions. If you are doing 1 session, 2 sessions, 3 sessions, then each session you write the number, second sessions in journal or calendar, whatever you put it. Today, if you did 1 session, during the first session, that much, second session, this much, and then you have total for the day. And then you have total for the next day and total for the next day, and that is how you count it. At the end, then you can count it. So that is how you can, yeah. So any other questions? And especially for those who are interested, who have some interest, who have some aspirations, wish to do some of those preliminary practices, I think it's better to start with prostration when you are more younger. As we get older, the Bodhisattva practices still you can do. It doesn't require your physical, so much. But frustrations is a little bit of a physical. And as you get older, with your knee and everything, it becomes more and more difficult. So while you are still able, when you are still young, it's better to do that. And it is all about, what I say is, it's all about your, it's all about our determinations. It's not, sometimes we feel we don't have time. Absolutely not. If you have the determinations, it feels like a little bit kind of, I don't know, kind of a little bit kind of arrogant, or a little bit kind of like, sometimes I don't like to share it, but, even in Bodhisattva practice, I guess because I have a lot of negative karma, so I had to do the prostrations, 2 sets of 100,000s, 2 times, and I did the Bodhisattva 100,000s, 3 sets, 2 times at the retreat, just a couple of months, just doing that. And one time I couldn't find the time, so I did, every day. And while I'm teaching, while I'm traveling, while I'm with my family, everything. But I tried to one session every day, no matter where I am, no matter how busy I am. Even I was in His Holiness teachings, and I was staying with my friends. We are sharing a room, 3 or 4 of us. And even in that time, I used to get early than before them, and I start quietly while the light is still dark, off. I try to do one session all the time. And when I have more time, when I'm more free, then I do 2 sessions, sometimes 4 sessions, sometimes 3 sessions. And then continuously, and I do that even when I'm traveling, in the airport, in the plane, continually, at least one session every day, for a half hour, 1 hour, and then I completed in a year, So it is all about your determination. If you have the determination to that, no matter how busy you are, still you can do one session when you are busy, and when you are not busy, when you have more time, you can do 2 sessions, 3 sessions, 4 sessions, and you can complete in a year. At the very beginning, you think, oh, maybe I might never be able to finish this, but then you will see that you will be able to finish in that. And so again, that is something I just wanted to share, because sometimes we feel like, we can never finish it because the number seems so high, and seems like we don't have the time and all of that. And so sometimes it's just our excuse, Sometimes we have a lot of time, and our time is wasted on watching the TV, news, all these things, or other things, So yeah. Okay. So any other questions? Otherwise, we can do the dedications. Yeah.
Geshe, I had a question.
Yes, please.
What about if we have lots of scary dreams? Could that be a sign of purification?
Yeah, could be. As I said, sometimes they say when you purify, for example, at being we have negative karma to take a rebirth in a lower rebirth. Through purifications, then having purified, we will experience little small result of that, so that we don't have to take any rebirth in the future in the lower end, but maybe we might have some headache or some health issues, or we could have a nightmare or bad dream as well. So that could be just sign of purifications. The sign of purification doesn't always come in a romantic, nice way. It can come in a scary, way as well. Yeah. So then we can, do the dedications.
Geshe, unfortunately, John and I cannot screen share the dedication prayers.
Okay, don't wait.
Geshe, could you please lead them for us? Thank you.
Yeah. So we dedicate all the virtues that we have created in the past, present, future, and especially during those 5 sessions that we did on 35 Buddha, and do all of that. May once and all sentient beings be able to achieve fully enlightenment and lead all sentient beings to that enlightenment. Yavadi Nyuloda Lama Sanketu Gyone Roa Chi Gyama Lepa Ke also dedicate all our virtues for oneself and all sentient beings to actualize the Bodhisattva mind and the wisdom realizing emptiness within our mind stream. And those who have already actualized, not diminish, but increase more and more. Chanjo Sencho Rinpoche, Make Pana Ketu, Kewa Nyamba Meva Yang, Pone Pondo Kewa. We also dedicate all our virtues to the long life and healthy and long life of His Own Kyabje Lama Zopa Rinpoche, all the gurus. And that may we be under their care in this life, in further, in all future lives, until we achieve enlightenment. And may we always please them through our practice. Kanri Rawe Kore Shingang De Fendang Dewa Madu Chungwe Ne Chede Singwa Tenzin Yato Shape Site Badu Den Yu Tu Tu Chang Shen Chang Gwen Gyave Ten Din Jong Bebe Kun Su To Koro Zhu Cho Song Gu Wei Le Mo Tu Du Pa Na Su Du Je Kun Du Shape. Due to the treatment of the virtues of merit that which are empty from its own type, which oneself and other sentient beings, all the oneself and others are created, who are empty from its own side. May we achieve, which is empty from its own side, fully enlightened state, which is empty from its own side, for the benefit of all sentient beings, which is empty from its own side. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. And then, yeah, we wouldn't have, I wouldn't be teaching for next 2 Fridays, and then we will start another practice of our Lokishora after that. Okay, thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you so much, Geshe Sherab.